रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपते बकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्धना। भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसार कुलशेखर योगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणु परकाल यतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्मा द्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अपाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः। पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाग्निमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्निविदीपन व्यपगत प्राणात्मसञ्जीवनी पूर्वाचार्य सुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघात दूरस्थितां आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम्। निगमकल्पतरोः गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः। सान्द्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमिदम् कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनः उरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं दत्तावत् भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे। हन्तभाग्यं जनानाम् अग्रे पश्यामि तेजो निबिडतरकला यावली लोभनीयं पीयूषप्लावितोऽहं तदनु तदुदरे दिव्यकैशोरवेशं तारुण्यारम्भरम्यं परमसुखरसास्वाद रोमाञ्चिताङ्गैः आवीतं नारदाद्यैः विरस उपनिषत्सुन्दरी मण्डलैश्च। बाहुद्वन्द्वेन रत्नोज्ज्वलवलयभृता शोणपाणिप्रवाळेनोपाता वेणुनाळी प्रसृतनखमयूकाङ्गुलीं सङ्गशारां कृत्वा वक्त्रारविन्दे सुमधुर विकसदरागमुद्भाव्यमानैः शब्द ब्रह्मामृतैः त्वं शिशिरित भुवनैः सिञ्च सिञ्च मे कर्णवीथि योगीन्द्राणां त्वदङ्गेष्वधिक सुमधुरम् मुक्तिभाजां निवासो भक्तानां कामवर्षद्युतरुकिसलयं नाथ ते पादमूलम् नित्यं चित्तस्थितं मे पवनपुरपते कृष्णा Karunya Sindho Krishna Karunya Sindho Kritva Nisheshatapan Pradishatu Paramananda Sandoha Lakshmi Ajñātvā te mahatvam yadiha nigaditam Vishwanatha kshametaha Stotram chaitat sahastrottaram adhikataram tvad prasadaya bhuyat Vedha narayaniyam Shrutishu cha janushastutyata varnanena Sphitam leelavatararidamita kurutam Ayurarogya Saukyam Janaki Kanta Smaranam. Some more energy. Janaki Kanta Smaranam Gopika Jeevana Smaranam. With the abundant blessings of Paramatma, the benign blessings of Alvars and Acharyas, we have gathered to partake and be a part of this Shravana Yajnam called as Srimad Bhagavata Saptaham. I am indebted to Sri Vedanta Sabha, its board members, the set of Astikas and Bhagavatottamas who have helped organize this event. And after my sojourn in the last 37 days, 37 lectures, 7 cities, 4 red-eye flights, this is my last set of lectures. You know, the best part of the meal comes in the end, which is the curd rice. So, and I feel blessed to be a recipient to the blessings of so many Astikas across this beautiful city of Dallas. So beginning today till the 28th of May, which is the Sunday, we shall be having a lecture each on every day. We'll be having a lecture for 2 hours to 2 hours 15 minutes. And the timings are as mentioned in the poster, except for the last day where we will be having it in the first half of the day. The lectures are in English. The reason we have chosen this language is we have bequeathed the Jananam given by 3 Matacharyas. One is Elizabeth Maharajni. One is the Samashrena Parampara called Ren. And then the Bharanyasa Parampara called as Martyr. So with the blessings of such wonderful Acharyas, we have chosen English as the link language. That's become the spiritual lingua franca for our lectures. I'm sure we have Astikas who speak the Tamil language. Raise your hands. Okay. Now, whose mother tongue is Tamil? I'm not asking about your ability to speak that language. Okay. Telugu matladtara? Kannada Kannadavaru idara illi? Malayalam? Undo. Okay. Then I have to go northwards. Marathi Astikas? Okay. Then Malayalam is done. Yeah. Then Marathi and then Gujarati? Yeah. So the rest of them are pretty busy in Modiji's visit to the US. So bring more Gujarati Astikas and then people who speak Hindi. Have I left any other language? Any other Bharatiya language that I have not mentioned? Yeah, okay. So, on a very personal note, I have immense respect for each and every language, because in Bhakti Samrajyam, we go beyond these geographical and linguistic boundaries. So, as and when required and pertinent, I shall intersperse the delivery with some relevant lines of compositions from most of these languages. That said, it is going to be in English, and you can bring astikas across the city, as Sri Vedanta Sabha has mentioned. It is a free event. Please do bring them in. I am very impressed because generally organizers across the US say that we would love to have your programs on the weekend. So even if it's Alex, Raga, they will all come in the weekend. But for me, I personally feel when I come to a country outside Bharat Desha, I'm personally not into going to Costco, Sam's Club. So I've seen enough of it. So every day, the only energy booster to me is when I deliver a lecture. So I tell my organizer, do not give even a single day's gap. So then they are a bit worried, will astikas come? Here is the proof. So Bhagavatam is a beautiful magnet that pulls astikas across the city. There is a paddhati in Srimad Bhagavatam to have a Parayanam and then a Pravachanam. Now we are having Pravachanam alone for a set of 7 days. Your volume because there's no feedback. I feel that I'm not speaking. Yeah, this should be fine. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a kramam to describe, delineate the circumstances that led to the birth of this grantha. It is called as Avataram Prakriya. And then we have Vilakshana Vishayam, which is called Vailakshanyam. We have Bhaktra Vailakshanyam, Shrotra Vailakshanyam, Vishaya Vailakshanyam. So the person who speaks should have some greatness attached. For example, Shuka Brahman is the speaker. Pariskhit is the listener. The listener should have some amount of brownie points and greatness attached to him or her. Now I can't say him or her, to whomever. Next, the Vishayam should be great. See, the speaker is great, the listener is great, the Vishayam is idli. Who's going to listen for 7 days? So Vishayam should be equally great. So all these three should go together for a Saptaha. That said, what led to the birth of this Saptaham? Srimad Bhagavatam. Sasamhitam Bhagavatim Krutva Anukramya Chatmajam Shuka Madhyapayamasa Nivritti Niratam Munihi. So, Vyasacharya taught this to his diligent son called as Shuka. Why did he teach this? What circumstances led to this? We have to now touch traces of Sri Mahabharatam and then come to Bhagavatam. You all will know that there is a lot of vendetta in Sri Mahabharata. Dronacharya wanted to avenge the humiliation meted to him by fighting Drupada, his erstwhile classmate. On the other hand, Drupada, when he was humiliated by Dronacharya, vowed to seek a revenge for that. That is when Drupada performs a yagam, an ishti. An ishti is a bhag of shrout, it's a part of shrout of prakriya. So he performed this yagam. For performing the yagam, he had to invite a purohita. There were two brothers, Yaja and Upayaja. I will ask questions later. So, Yaja and Upayaja. One Rishi said, "Sir, I don't do such kamya karma where you desire children to seek revenge on the other person. I don't do." The other Rishi said, "If you pay me, I will do." So he was a Kali Yuga Rishi. So that moment that was said, he brings that Rishi and performs a Putrakama Ishti. While the Havis oblations were being offered into the fire, the mantram said, whatever Drupada desired will happen. Drupada desired that he should have a son who can fight Drona. Drona was a great Dhanurvidya champion. He was a teacher. So I need a son who's adept enough, who has the inbuilt prowess to fight Drupada. So as the Havis was being offered, Mahabharatam says that a son emerged. Whether we find this logically tenable or not, there emerged a son, full-fledged son. You don't have to hunt for kindergarten, magnet school, AP courses, nothing. Full-fledged son came with all the ayudham and armor. And when he emerged, he was with that valor. So he was called Drishtadhyumna. The moment he got the son, Drupada was happy, objective accomplished, done. Yagam was over, they started clearing that Yaga premises. But the fire did not have a shamanam at all. It didn't get extinguished. It was blazing. They were quite surprised. There was no fuel in it. No fuel was being added. That is when emerged a beautiful woman. Kumari chapi panchali, Vedi madhya samuthita, Shubhaga darshaniyangi, Vedi madhya manorama, Shyama padmapala shakshi, Neela kunjita murthaja, Tamratunga nakhi subru, Charupina payodhara, says Vyasacharya. Beautiful woman. She emerged. Now he thought, what byproduct is this? I've got the product. Who is this byproduct? That is when they read the mantra carefully. Whatever he desired would happen. See, when Dronacharya had dispatched the sons of Pandu, the Pandavas, to go fight Drupada, Nakula Sahadeva were protecting the wheels of the chariot while Bhima walked in the front protecting the horses. Arjuna stood alongside Yudhishthira in the Ratham to protect his brother, and then he jumped at the opportune time into the chariot of Drupada, took the sword from his kabad and held him very close to his neck. And he said, I won't kill you. You're my Acharya's classmate. I've just been ordained to take you to my Acharya. That time, Dronacharya had a thought. What a great champion he is. I wish I had a daughter so that I can have a son-in-law like Arjuna. So this was his wish. So when the mantra said whatever he wished will get fulfilled, for that Draupadi emerged. So then you know about the Swayamvaram that happened, that fish went around, that reflection will fall and then that arrow has to hit that eye, and then Arjuna won, and then she was taken to the Parnakashala, the ashramam, and that is when the modern Indian mom said share. And they couldn't share Draupadi. That is when Yudhishthira says there's nothing doing. If mother says something, it has to happen. How is it possible for one lady to get married to 5 men at the same time? They asked. No, there is one precedence in 1973 Patiala court. See, in judiciary, you always give precedence. So Krishna comes and says there was one lady called Pramlochana who married 10 men. Jatila who married 7. Draupadi is better, she's marrying 5. So you can marry. Then they married. And eventually she had 5 sons. Let's roll a few years later. Now we have to keep time traveling, like the prisoner of Azkaban. You have to keep traveling. So as we do, you know, in those days, if a Chalachitram had to show that time, they'll say, "Main kaal hu." That black screen will come. So then you have to roll that wheel, the leaf, flowers will fall, the leaves will fall. and then the flowers will grow again. So like that, many years later, while they were coaxed into a yuddham, they were to fight. That is when the sons of Dhritarashtra, called the Dhartarashtras, the sons of Pandu, called Pandavas, they fought. But there was a strategy in this. Ashwathama, who is the son of Dronacharya, he got into the tutelage of his father through nepotism. How? Dronacharya wanted the right kingdom where he could go fight Drupada. So the sons of Dhritarashtra and Pandu spotted the teacher. They said, this teacher has good reviews. We can have him as the teacher. Bhishmacharya said, you have to teach these sons of Kuru Vamsha, but on one condition, you should not teach anybody but the sons of Kuru Vamsha. That is when Dronacharya said, see, I'll do that. Give an exception to this general rule. Let my dear son Ashwathama also study. They said, okay, fine, one boy exception, it is okay. Let Ashwathama also study. So alongside the sons of Pandu and Dhritarashtra, Ashwathama also studied. There was one course syllabus that was prepared by Dronacharya for all these sons of Pandu and Dhritarashtra. But one small complement, that extra out of syllabus portion alone, he wanted to teach to his son. But how could he teach? The other boys will go and complain. Partiality, there will be many cases that will be foisted against him. So in Adi Parva of Sri Mahabharata, there is a beautiful incident mentioned. You can even fact check me. You can go home, fact check, and if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. In Adi Parva of Sri Mahabharata, there is an incident mentioned by Vyasacharya. It seems Drona would give large pots, ghatam, to these boys and would say, go fetch waters from the close by lake. And the pots used to be huge, but they will have narrow, thin, long necks. So if you have to fill them up with water, it will take longer time for the water to displace the air which is inside. Right? You have to calculate. So if the water goes laminar flow, then there is a formula, right? You have to replace that air, and that air has to come. If you put it with the air, there will be bubbles. That's why in titration, they say you should not hold it completely. Correct? So this water had to get filled. All the boys were given such narrow, long necked pots. Ashwathama alone used to be given a broad neck pot. Why? Because if they take an average of 10 minutes to go and come, Ashwathama would just take 3 minutes. So in the gap of 7 minutes, he can teach the extra portions to his son. This was his idea. Ashwathama would come running because in the 3rd minute, he could fill the ghatam with water and would run. But the marvelous thing was, Arjuna would also come at the same time. That is when Drona thought, how did you fill the water in that pot? Arjuna said, I learned through the manuscripts about an astram called Varunastram, where you don't have to go to the pond at all. I can fetch water wherever I am. So I came. That is when he thought, if you're really talented, you can beat even dynasty and nepotism. So that said, Drona taught all these boys astrams. Now you may wonder, what is the connection between Draupadi having 5 sons, Arjuna being taught the astram, Ashwathama being taught the astram? Let's keep all these. These are all, the given material for our theorem. We have to keep all this ready. On the other hand, Ashwathama, who knew extra astrams, this particular fact that he knew something more than what Pandavas and Kauravas knew was known only to Krishna. So he did not want Ashwathama to become the commander-in-chief of the Kauravas. The only way to dissuade him from becoming was to make him fall into the bad books of Duryodhana. So prior to the Yuddham in Udyoga Parva, what Krishna does is he comes to Hastinapuram. After having discussed with the Kauravas, then he calls Ashwathama and says, Ashwathama, come with me. So Ashwathama walks along with Krishna, they go for a stroll. Now, somewhere from the gazebo, this Shakuni and Duryodhana were looking. They couldn't hear what they were speaking. Krishna wanted to make use of this opportunity and tried to be as dramatic as possible. Because body actions can also convey, right? Won't I know in some time whether you're all interested, not interested, boring, not boring, then to ask questions or not, whom to ask. So, Krishna slowly he left his ring slide from his finger. Ashwathama caught and said, Krishna, take this. So when Ashwathama was giving the ring to Krishna, Duryodhana and Shakuni were seeing. Shakuni was saying, something is brewing between the both. Simple ring fall and he gave. And Krishna acted as if something great was known. He said, thank you so much. Wow, great you are. So that is when Shakuni told Duryodhana, we have to be very careful with this Ashwathama. So that deal was done. So Ashwathama, despite knowing that extra portions, what others did not know, was never made the commander-in-chief. Bhishma became the commander-in-chief. And Krishna had strategized in a way that while Bhishma was the commander-in-chief, Karna will not enter the battlefield. So after Bhishma's fall, Drona comes into picture. After Drona's fall, technically Drona's son should have come. But he makes Karna the commander-in-chief. After Karna's period, Ashwathama was waiting. Then Shalya became the commander-in-chief. So he was always the prince in waiting. He will never get that post. So that is when, at one point in time, Bhima comes and hits on the thigh of Duryodhana, and Duryodhana falls on the ground near the lake. His spine is also broken. Duryodhana is on the verge of death. That is when only 3 people, the entire army was out. Only 3 people survived. Kritavarma, Kripa, that is Ashwathama's uncle, and Ashwathama. Only 3 managed to survive. They reached the place where Duryodhana was lying. And that is when Ashwathama says, Duryodhana, please make me the commander-in-chief at least now. There are 2 MP parties in India, or 1 MP party. That MP will be the MP and the leader of his party. So same was the case with Ashwathama. Here goes the shlokam. Yatham ridhe kaurava sridjayanam vireshvatho viragatim gateshu Brukodara Viddhagada Bhimarshad Bhagna Urudande Dhritarashtra Putre Bhartuf Priyam Drauniriti Sma Pashyan Krishna Sutanam Swapatam Shiramsi Upaharad Vipriyameva Tasya Juhupsitam Karma Vigarhayanti. So Ashwathama was made the commander-in-chief. How will he go and now fight the Pandavas? So the Parva says, Ashwathama went and sat in the shade of a tree, a banyan tree. Many crows started coming and settling on its branches because it was getting night. Ashwathama noticed an owl come and fight some of the crows and consume, kill them and eat. That minute, Ashwathama got the idea, if owl is nocturnal and can fight in the night, why can't I kill them in the night? So this Parva in Mahabharatam is called a Sauttantika Parva. During the night, the Yuddham happened. So he thought the easiest way is to vanquish the Pandavas while they are asleep. So he goes to the tent to kill the Pandavas. So 2 soldiers who were walking that side said, the 5 are sleeping. So Ashwathama thought the 5 Pandavas are sleeping. He shoots arrows at them. Then he goes to the tent of Drishtadyumna because he was the one who killed his father Drona. And while he was about to kill Drishtadyumna, Drishtadyumna woke and he said, please use a weapon to kill me. Because in those days, it was a belief that if a Kshatriya is killed with a weapon, he will go to heaven. So at least send me to heaven, use some weapon and kill me. But Ashwathama said, why should I listen to you? And he used his hands and choked him. And Drishtadyumna was dead. Next day, he thought he will see the news in Times of Hastinapura newspaper that 5 Pandavas are dead. But it happened the other way. The sons of Pandavas born to Draupadi were dead. Bhartu Priyam Drauniriti Sma Pashyan Krishna Sutanam Swapatam Shiram. See, Krishna Sutanam, the sons of Krishna, Draupadi, Swapatam Shiram. See, while they were asleep, they were killed. Now, Ashwathama felt very happy. He said, somehow I managed to kill somebody. So he goes to Duryodhana and says, Duryodhana, I killed the sons of Pandavas born to Draupadi while they were asleep. Duryodhana says, you shouldn't have done that. See, Duryodhana says, Upahara Vipriyameva tasya jugupsitam karma vigarhayanti. Duryodhana said, no, you shouldn't have done that, Ashwathama. After many days, he got commander-in-chief role. That appraisal was not good. So he said, you shouldn't, the feedback was not great. He said, you shouldn't have done that. That is when Ashwathama again feels the urge. I should get into the good books of Duryodhana. Duryodhana is 1 foot on the grave. But he wanted to get into the good books of Duryodhana. So he thought to himself, I managed to kill the sons of Draupadi. Even then, this man is not happy. I have to do something better to ensure that I get into the good books of Duryodhana. That is when Draupadi, on the other hand, Draupadi realized that her sons were dead. Mata Shishunam Nidhanam Sutanam Nishamya Ghoram Paritapyamana Tata Gurudhat Bashpa Kala Kulakshi Tam Santvahanna Kirita Mali. See, Mahabharata Draupadi is very ferocious. You remember the vow that she made? To this Dushyasana who has humiliated me, I will ensure that his chest is torn open and the blood that oozes out and my hair is drenched in that blood. Very ferocious Draupadi. Whereas Bhagavatam Draupadi is very calm. She said, yes, I've lost my sons. But Arjuna got angry. He said, how dare that Ashwathama do this? I will pull him here. He pulled Ashwathama. Tada shuchaste pramrujami bhadre yad brahma bandho shira atatayinaha yad brahma bandhoho. I will call that Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Shabdam is Brahmana Shabdam. Bandhu. What does Bandhu mean? What is Bandhu? Friend. Yeah. Friend. Friend. Bandhu. Friend. Brahma, Brahmana Shabdam. Brahma Bandhu means Brahmana Bandhu means Brahmana's friend, which is wrong. In Sanskritam, if you bring 2 Shabdams together, they necessarily don't have to convey the meaning of their concoction. For example, Shuddha. What is Shuddha? Pure. Atma. Atma, soul or whatever. Shuddhatma, pure soul, we'll think. No. Antahpuram is called Shuddhatma. Inner apartment is called Shuddhatma. Gramam. Simham. Grama Simham. Dog. So if somebody calls you Grama Simham, beware. So, Brahmana Bandhu means the enemy of Brahmanas. So, how do we know that? See, for example, we are going for an event after the huge lull period of the pandemic. Somebody is inviting us. We are going for that event. 2 of us are talking about some other person, which is the norm of Bhagavata Dharma. So, we are talking about some other person. And that person manages to come at that point in time when we are talking about him or her. How will we say? Now, so that Nallavar means he isn't. Yad Brahma Bandhoho Shira Atatayinaha Gandiva Muktair Vishikhair Upahare Akramya Yatsnasi Dagda Putra. So that is when she says to Arjuna, there is no use in fighting Arjuna now. Yes, it is my karma that I have to undergo this. But Bhima says, you have to kill him. What was the easiest way to kill? She says, don't kill. Bhima says, kill. So Arjuna takes his shikha off, the tuft that you see. Because this particular shikha is believed to be the head of a learned Brahmana. If the shikha is not there, it is equivalent to him dying. So they took that shikha off. Now this Ashwathama couldn't take this. What he did was, he immediately released an astram called as Brahma Shiras. There is a greatness about this Brahma Shiras. Bhagavatam says there is an astram called Brahmastram. Arjuna knew Brahmastram. You remember about 7.5 minutes back I said, the father taught some extra portions to that son. That Brahma Shiras was that astram taught to Ashwathama, which Arjuna did not know. So Brahmastram is surf. Brahma Shiras is like surf excel. So something better than Brahmastram. But one thing that Krishna knew about Ashwathama was he did not know how to retract that particular astra. So he says, Arjuna, when he has released Brahma Shiras, you release Brahmastra. Now Vyasacharya will come and he will be the one who will judge this place. Vethettam drona putrasya brahmanastram pradarshitam naivasam veda samharam pranavadha upasthite shutva bhagavata proktam palgunaha pariviraha sprishtavapaspadam parikramya brahmastram sandadhe. So when the astrams were released, Vyasacharya comes and says, this is wrong for both of you. Some family problem, you are bringing some destruction, catastrophe to the world. Take back your astrams. Ashwathama says, I don't know how to take back my astram. That is when Vyasacharya reprimands him. That is why you should not come with half-baked knowledge. Arjuna, you take both the astrams back. Again, Ashwathama was taken in the presence of Draupadi. Draupadi said, please don't kill him again. It is believed that there was an extra growth on his forehead which was resplendent like a gem. Take that gem away. First Shikha went, now gem went. Ashwathama didn't want to stop here. He thought, well, I've killed the sons of Arjuna, the Pandavas, the sons of Pandavas born to Draupadi. I should also go one step further and kill the child who is now a fetus housed in the womb of Uttara. That was because every other son had died. Ghatotkacha was dead. So only source of hope for them was this little child, the fetus in the garbhan of Uttara. That is when he releases the astram called Apandaveyastram. The astram was programmed in such a way that it would go and kill the fetus of the Pandava Kulam. So it was called Apandaveyastram. So the scanf an input statement. Scanf said, go kill fetus. The moment that Astram was to be released, most of the journalists knew. Arnab Goswami, Rajdeep, Bhatta, Murga, everybody knew. So they all went and told Uttara, something is going to attack you, be careful. The moment he invoked the Brahmastra mantram, Uttara felt some disturbance in her belly. She went and told her mother-in-law Subhadra. Subhadra went and told the co-wife Draupadi. Draupadi and Subhadra went and told their mother-in-law Kunti. From this what do we know? All the mothers-in-law were living in that house, like that Woodward's Grey Water advertisement. She goes, tells her mother-in-law goes and tells her mother-in-law. So they all managed to survive, overlive people. So that is when Kunti starts doing a Sharanagati to Krishna. She tells, Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Paramatma Sanatanaha Anadimadya Nidhanaha. Krishna, every time we are in a problem, you are the one who comes and benevolently rescues us from that problem. Please come. That is when Krishna is said to have gone, when the Brahmastram had struck her belly, he went as an Angushtamatra Purushaha, is what Shastram says. A very, very minuscule form he took and went through her navi, the cord, and went and kept going around the developing fetus in the amniotic sac. So this child thought the only place where there is no encroachment is mother's garbha. Nobody can come and encroach. A square, B square, G square, nobody can come. So, when encroachment cannot happen, who has come around me? This fetus wondered. So the fetus, it seems, started seeing ikshanam, to see around, pari ikshanam, he did around. So to see around. So the Lord went around the child and managed to protect the child from the ill effects caused by Brahmastra. The child was born. Then there is another information given in Mahabharata. Whatever I have spoken now is from Bhagavatam. What Shuka has said. His father Vyasacharya says, when the child was born, the child did not move at all. Absolutely there was no sign of a living condition in the child. That is when an Ashariri Vak said, if a brahmachari and a person who has spoken the truth touches the child, both these conditions should suffice. Then this child shall come back to life. Every rishi said, no sir, I am not available today. Because if they touch and that doesn't come back to life, then the corollary, it means that the rishi has spoken the untruth. So they said, today it is my vratam to not touch any children. And they all left. The only person left in the hall was Krishna. And the world knew for a fact that both these conditions don't go well with Krishna. Brahmacharyam and Satyatvam. He had a ration book, not a card. Rukmini Krishnan, Jambavati Krishnan, Mitravinda Krishnan, Satya Krishnan. And everybody, if they were in Tamil Nadu, they will get 10 kgs of rice and 1,000 rupees. So for that ration card. So Brahmacharya may not go well with him. Second, he should have spoken the truth. Malai piranda nambiyai, malaye shayyummanadane, yela poigal uraipane, inge poda kandire. Yes, here, if at all there is one person who can speak the maximum number of lies, it is yela poigal uraipane. There is no limit. But Krishna says, okay, Uttara, give the child to me. The child is given. And then he says, Yedime brahmacharyam syat satyam cham abhyahatam yena jivatu balakaha. If what I have spoken is the truth, always in my life, if I am a brahmachari, let this child come back to life. The child started crying. So the child in a way was testing Krishna's prowess and skills. Since it was giving a pariksha to Krishna also, he is called Parikshit. So Parikshanam, to see around, Parikshit. Pariksha to Krishna, Parikshit. This child was born. Now, there is something great about our mothers. Have you heard of a great mother called Aryamba? Who is Aryamba? Very good. Adi Shankaracharya's mother. Why is she great? Because she gave the world a great intellectual, a great acharya. That is why he says later, Astam Tavadiyam Prasuti Samaye Durvara Shulabhyatha Nairuchyam Tanusoshanam Malamayi Shayyacha Samvatsari Ekasyapina Garbhabara Viditaha. He says, Tasyai Jananyai Namaha. I'm so lucky, fortunate to have Aryamba as my mother. Aryamba was great because she produced a very responsible citizen. Everybody produces citizens. Whether they are responsible, we don't know. So she produced a responsible citizen who became an Acharya later, a Bhagavatottama later, called Adi Shankara Bhagavatpada. So the greatness of Aryamba is to have produced a great Bhagavata like Adi Shankara. Kantimati, very good. She is great because she gave the world a Jagadacharya. An Acharya who could stay within the system and could reform the system and beautifully integrate people. See, a reformer is a person who doesn't cause chaos in the society. A reformer is a person who stays within the system and beautifully revives and reforms the system. Breaking idols. All this is not the greatness of a reformer. Taking on procession, abusing. This is not what a reformer does. Ramanuja is a reformer. He is the true Purachintana. So he reformed in a very elegant way, intellectual way, without hurting anybody, bringing all classes of society together under one umbrella. That is the greatness of Ramanuja. A reformer, be it in religion, philosophy, or in art forms, will never ever write op-ed articles. All that a good reformer will not do. So here, Ramanuja's greatness is his mother was Kantimati, and Kantimati produced a great Bhagavatottama like Ramanuja. Totaramma, the one who produced Vedanta Deshika. Poet extraordinaire, a consummate dramatist, a sagacious dietitian, a lesser-known mathematician, a polyglot, a polymath, to say the least. So, Aryamba produced a great Bhagavatottama like Adi Shankara. Kantimati produced a great Bhagavatottama like Ramanujacharya. Totaramma produced a great Bhagavatottama like Vedanta Deshika. On the other hand, what is the greatness of Kaushalya? She produced Paramatma. Urupagal Ulagelam Udaratul Podindu Arumarekku Arumavane Anjana Karumugil Kolundu Yedil Kattum Shodiyai Tiruvurappayandanal Tiramkol Kosalai, says Kamban. She housed the Lord in her womb. That is the greatness of Kaushalya. Manapugal Kausalai Tan Manivaidu Vaitavane. Great Kausalya. Same is the case with Devaki. She housed Paramatma in her womb as Krishna in Krishna Avataram. So Kaushalya and Devaki housed Paramatma in Rama Krishna Avatarams. They housed Bhagavan. Aryamba, Kantimati. முன்னாடி அந்த வால்யூம் கொஞ்சம் சரிப்படுத்த முடியுமா? அது நடுநடுல குறையிறது ஏறுறது பண்ணிட்டு. See, I will, as I speak, I'll tell you where it is right. Leave it that way. Arumarekku, I need some feedback on this. Arumarek, this is good, this is not good. Arumarekku, it was fine some time back. Arumarekku avanai. More. Arumarekku avanai. And this is perfect. This one. Arumarekku, fine, this is better. So, the greatness of Aryamba, Kantimati and Totaramma was to house Bhagavatottamas. Greatness of Kaushalya and Devaki was to house Bhagavan. But at one point in time, the only lady who housed the Bhagavan and Bhagavatottama was Uttara. She housed Pariskhit, the Bhagavatottama, and Bhagavan Krishna. So, since she is higher than most other mothers, she is called Uttara, the higher one. See, generally, if we are out of our mother's womb, the water broke and we came out. Even if we love our mothers, we can't get inside her uterus. I love my mother, I want to get back to the Garbha, we can't say. But Krishna is the only one who came out of Devaki's Garbha and went back into Uttara's Garbha. So this is the greatness of Parikshit, which is why I spoke at 6:40 about Vaktrivailakshanyam. You remember I said the greatness of the speaker, that is Shuka, and the greatness of the listener, Parikshit. Now, that said, we have to now understand what circumstances led to the emergence of Bhagavatam. What is Bhagavatam? Here, we have one place where Narada says, I went to many places. Aham tu prithivim yato jnatva sarvottamamiti pushkaram cha prayagam cha kashim godavarim tata. I went to Pushkaram. He says, I went to different places. Pushkaram. Pushkar is a beautiful place in Rajasthan, where the Lord is believed to stay as the waters. Pushkaram cha, Prayagam cha. Prayagam, place where Ganga and Yamuna with Antarvahini, Saraswati come together. The confluence. Prayagam cha, Kashim. Kashi is Varanasi. What is so special about Kashi? When the river Ganga flows north to south, it is in only this small town where she meanders south to north. She comes like this. In Kashi, she bends, goes up, and then comes down. So this meandering south to north makes her very different from the remaining course. So Kashi is the place where Ganga meanders. That is why in the south of India, Kaveri meanders south to north in a place. It is called Dakshina Kashi. That is called Mohanur, if you have heard of that place. Mohanur is where Kaveri meanders. So he says, Pushkaram cha prayagam cha kashim godavarim tatha. He says, I went even to the banks of river Godavari. Harikshetram Kurukshetram Srirangam Setubandhanam Evamadishu Tirtheshu Brahmamana Itastataha. He says, I didn't get peace of mind. I went to all these places, loads of crowd, people are asking money to get inside the temple, I have to go through an agent. He tells one amount, then if I go to another agent, he tells another amount. So Narada Maharishi says, I found these places, though great places, I didn't get peace of mind. As he mentions all of this, he sees one lady who is in a very disturbed state with two of her children who are swooned on her lap. He asks, Madam, who are you? She says, my name is Bhakti. That is when Narada asks, tell me your whereabouts. Where are you from? Utpanna Dravide Saham. I was born in the Dramida Desham, in the Tamil country. Bhakti says in Bhagavatam, Utpanna Dravide Saham. I was born in the Tamil country. Circumstances were not great to grow there, she says. Vridhim Karnatake Gata. Then I went and settled in Karnataka. I spent my elementary school and middle school in Karnataka. Then I went to Maharashtra. Kwachin Maharashtra. I spent my good part of my working days in Maharashtra. Gurjare Jirnatam Gata. Then I finally went and settled in Gujarat. Gurjare Jirnatam Gata. Then Narada says, don't worry, who are these sons? My sons are called Jnana and Vairagya. They have swooned. That is when Narada says, the only way to revive them and bring happiness, mirth to you is by reading Bhagavatam. That is when the Bhagavata Pathanam begins. On the other hand, Parikshit, who became matured into a wonderful administrator, one day went on a hunting spree. I think there are a few states here also where you can get hunting license, right? Yeah. So we don't know hunting, shooting license we get. So what he does is he goes on a hunting spree. As he goes on a hunting spree, he feels thirsty all of a sudden. He spots one hermitage close by. As he enters the hermitage, the rishi there, seated on the outer pedestal, was performing tapas, dhyana. And that was original dhyana. So even if you wake him up, he will be there. Because our dhyanam, we will know, don't put the mixie on. I'm meditating. So if you're meditating, you should not be listening, you should not even be hearing that mixie sound. See now, for the last 1.5 years, if anybody writes to me as an organizer, sir, we would like to ask you for a Zoom session, I block them. 2.5 years of my life, I am done and dusted with that face. I have to keep looking at the camera in my house. I'm so happy to see you all. Camera. Then later, after they wanted live sessions. Live sessions will work well. This Zoom Acharya came. In that, most of them will keep their videos off. Again, I have to see blank screen, but they will keep their audio on. So I can listen to their mixer sound, that washing machine sound. Yaar solra, the Dushyanth, I'll patient there. All this I will hear. Then I have to tell mommy mute, mommy mute. By the time I tell mommy mute, then other mommy will unmute. So I'm tired of this Zoom session. I'll tell you, the current word, trending word is vibes. The vibes that you get in a live lecture is different from Upanyasa. Yes, we have no other way. We have to listen to YouTube lectures. But YouTube lectures, you always have the right to hit the Upanyasaka. The pause button will be right on my mouth. Patient 2 hours lecture. So here you can't do that. I am incorrigible. I'll talk and finish for the entire duration. Whatever emotions you show, I am not concerned. I will talk. So here, this Rishi was performing Dhyanam. This Parikshit was very thirsty. So while he kept asking the Rishi for water, the Rishi did not reply. So he saw a dead snake lying on the ground. He used his arrow to pick the dead snake up and garland the Rishi. It was very symbolic to tell the Rishi, you do not answer or reply to my queries like how the dead snake doesn't. You are akin to the dead snake. Even that the Rishi did not know. But this act of Parikshit was noticed by the Rishi's son's friend. Rishi's son's friend. This friend goes and tells the Rishi's son, here you're cutting twigs and all these sticks for the Samita Danam, and there your father was humiliated by the reigning king called as Parikshit. This boy gets angry. What? The king humiliated my father? My father? This boy was very attached to his father. Other son would have put burn over. What I couldn't do, Parikshit has done. I will go join Parikshit's party. But what this boy told was, when he has managed to humiliate my father, I curse him. That not a dead snake, a snake with a virulent poison called Takshaka shall bite him from the 7th day from now and he died. This was the Shapam. The Rishi immediately took cognizance of this. He called his son and said, Apapeshu svadrityeshu balena pakva buddhina papam kritam tad bhagavan sarvatma kshantumarhati. I've been teaching you Vedas, my dear son. The lakshanam for a Brahmana is to be passive and patient. It is not to get angry like this. Apakva buddhina. You are not got seasoned knowledge. You shouldn't be cursing. Even if a person does mistake, you should have the ability to correct him or keep quiet. Tiraskrita vipralabdha shabda akshipta hata api nasya tat pratikurbanti tad bhaktaha prabhavopi. You shouldn't have that. But once the curse is pronounced, it was pronounced next day, newspaper, Pariskhit, our king will die in 7 days. You may ask, sir, curses may fructify or not, like how blessings may fructify or not. Right? Generally we say, why? Because curse or blessing will turn true only based on a tapobalam. See, we are great dhyana purushas like Kanchi Paramacharya or some Acharya. Because of your tapobalam, if you say something, something will happen. For us, the other way around. So our tapobalam is so much in the minus that the reverse happens. You should have that ability because the nature has to listen to you. It means how much of tapo shakti you should have to tell the other person, may you be blessed. So, since this boy had done immense austerities, the king knew that he will die. What did he do? That is when he goes to the southern banks of river Ganga. Puts a beautiful mat made with darbha grass that is pointing eastwards. He sits facing northwards. That is when he says, I vow to sit till my death. This is called prayopavesham, fasting unto death. You should not go have Musambi juice behind the screen. This is proper fasting. While he was seated in that posture of dhyanam, one handsome boy walked into the premises. How was he? Tam dvayashta varsham sukumara padam karoru bahvasakapola patram. Tam dvayashta varsham. He was 2 into 8, 16 years of age. Sukumara padam. Beautiful feet. Karoru bahvaha. His karam, bahu, everything was good. Kapola patram, beautiful face. Charvayataksho nasa tulya karna suprovananam kambu sujata kantham. Generally, this person who had come with such beautiful features and such a pleasing demeanor wouldn't even stay in one place for more than the time period required for the drop of milk to come from the milk sac of a cow to reach the pot below. If the milk had to reach that pot, it may take about a second. He won't stay even for a second. Go dahana kalam. He won't stay in that place even for a second. But that person, out of his own sheer interest, came. And he went and sat before Pariskhit and said, Pariskhit, do you have questions? This is Sanatana. It is not that we answer questions. We ask people to ask questions. Will civilizations allow? Because if civilizations allow questioning, a lot of the belief system will get rattled. So as one learned person says, 2 ways of answering a question. One, to answer the question. Or if you don't want to answer the question, kill the very person who's asking the question. So the question won't be there. Similarly, in Sanatana Dharma, you ask questions. Because we are living during the times of Vokeshwara, Vokanayaka, Vokapriya, Vokapujita. Right? Why did Rama leave pregnant Sita in the forest? Why did Rama go and shoot Vali? Why did Rama's father marry so many times? Why did Rama do Agni Pariksha to Sita? Why did Krishna? No, Krishna they won't see. Krishna's acts are very conducive for our living. So people who question Rama will never question Krishna. Gopala Purameva Vasati. So they will always feel that Gopala is very close to them, more than Rama. But my humble request, I'm sure I'm seeing a lot of youngsters, and maybe seeing parents to many youngsters. While Sanatana Dharma absolutely encourages questioning, it also suggests, requests, and recommends detailed learning at the first step. First, you learn. Then, if you have questions, you ask. If Chat GPT says something, you should not ask. If Quora.com says something, you should not ask. First, you read, learn the Ramayana. Then, if you have questions, ask. Don't read the abridged version in the Wikipedia, which has been edited 100 times by some unknown author. Ask, read the book, and then you ask questions. If you ask questions, then trust me, half the questions for which you've been seeking answers will be answered in detailed reading, listening. The remaining questions will be answered in the due course through life's experience or through some jnani, some acharya. And if you don't get an answer, don't think there is no answer to that question. It means that you are not fortunate enough to listen to the answer of that question. Give it that time. Be patient. But at the end of the day, Sanatana Dharma encourages questioning. So Parikshit says, Yat shrotavam avyamatho japyam yat kartavyam ribhi prabho smartavyam bhajaniyam va bruhi yadva viparyayam atah prichhami samsiddhim yoginam paramam gurum purushasyeha yatkaryam riyamanasya sarvatha. What should human beings, Homo sapiens, do for a peaceful, blissful life? What should they do? Should they come to Frisco and listen to Bhagavatam? Yat shrotavamyamato japyam yat kartavyam nivi prabho smartavyam bhajaniyam va. What should they do bhajana of? Atah prichhami samsiddhim yoginam paramam gurum purushasyeha yatkaryam vriyamanasya sarvata. To the one who's on the verge of death, what should they meditate upon? Should they look at their BP, HbA1c, lipid profile, or what should they do? This was his question. And then Shuka Brahmam asked, Parikshit, do you have more questions to ask? See, that is Sanatana Dharma. You giving chance, giving another chance, more questions. That is when Parikshit asks, Draunasya viplushtamidam madangam santana bijam kuru pandavanam jugopa kukshim gatiyatta chakraha matuschame yasharanam gatayaha. Hey Acharya, it is told that the friend of my grandfather, who is the friend of his grandfather? Who is his grandfather? Who is his greatest friend? It is said that my grandfather's greatest friend protected me while I was in my mother's womb. From Drona's astram, Drona's son is Droni, Draunistram. So Drauniyastra viplushta midam madangam santana bijam kuru pandavanam jugopa kukshim gatiyatta chakraha matuschame yasharanam gatayaha. Please tell me, how did he protect me? Please tell me more about him. I've heard that he was a great personality. I would love to listen more about him. So he wanted to know Krishna Charitra. This was a simple question. What Shuka Brahman should have done? He should have spoken about Devaki and Vasudeva's marriage, how Krishna was born. But this answer to this question comes 9,500 verses later in Dashamaskandha. So what did Shuka Brahman do? Basically, he gave an upanyasam. Upanyasam is to tell one topic and go within that, and then you will be confused where did he start, and finally come back to that. Many people, if I answer to the point, then I'll become a professor. Right? Upanyasa means you have to go around. You should feel tired. Oh my goodness, what's the topic? But when you feel vexed, I will come back to that. It is like a Shastriya Sangeeta Vidwan or Vidush. See, Vedanta Sabha has organized so many Upanyasam and Kacheris. How many of your children or how many of you are learning classical music, used to learn so in Shastriya Sangeetam, there is a methodology to delineate that particular line and that ragam. It is called Niraval. So you take one line and go hover around it, and then you will take 20 minutes and then you will get back to that line. So that is how an Upanyas is also. So why did Shuka Brahman not tell Krishna Avataram that very second? He could have told. Why? Because I'm sure the elderly people here will know. In the 1950s and 60s, there used to be a mine in South Africa where blue jacket diamonds used to be made. It was an era where blue jacket diamonds were very famous. And then people used to buy those diamonds and keep them under their possession in their house for a week, because it was believed that those diamonds which are not cut that well have dosham in them. And dosha diamonds don't bring prosperity. So for 1 week, they will keep the diamonds in their house. So if good set of events happen, then they will buy those diamonds from that merchant and use them. If somebody calls them for Bhagavata Saptaham and all of that, they will give those diamonds back. So those diamonds used to be bought, and trust me, they were made into a beautiful stud by calling the goldsmith home. They will ask him to come home and make those beautiful diamond studs, blue jacket diamonds. So 7 stones, 2 studs made. They will be kept in a box, and that box will be kept in a purse of some jeweler. Let's say some expired jeweler, Babu jeweler. So they'll keep that dabba inside that Babu jeweler purse. That purse with that dabba will be kept in the side locker, and then the main locker will be closed. Then the main cupboard's door will be closed and locked. Then that room door will be locked. Then that main door will be locked. The gate outside that house will be locked. So if a thief has to come, he has Sapta Prakara Madhye Sarasija Mukulod Bhasamane Vimani. 7 prakarams he has to break and come. He will curse the owner. So he has to break open the gate, then the main door, then the room door, then the cupboard, then the locker, side locker, purse, box. So Krishna Avataram is like blue jacket diamond. It is kept within Dashamaskandam box. That box is kept within the purse called Navamaskandam. And that is kept in the side locker, which is Ashtamaskandam. That is kept in the main locker, which is Saptamaskandam. Then the main cupboard, Shashtyaskandam. Then Panchamaskandam, main door, Chaturthyaskandam. Then you keep going. So Krishna Avataram is the crux of Bhagavatam. But you have to reveal something which is interesting only later. What will Nandini do to Aditya Karikala will be told only in that second half. Right? First itself he won't tell. You have to listen to that aga, naga, naga, aga and everything. Then it will come. Similarly, this answer is given later. That said, in the Dvitiya Skandam, see, by now we have completed, I have told you the essence of 2000 shlokas. Prathama Skandam is over. Now we are going to Dvitiya Skandam. In Dvitiya Skandam, Yudhishthira had a few questions. He went and asked Krishna. And that is when Krishna said, Jnaninaha alpi bhavanti, you go ask Bhishmacharya, he will give. All those jnanam was bestowed on Yudhishthira. Then Arjuna was taken to the site where Bhishmacharya was lying on the bed of arrows. That time Bhishmacharya starts shedding tears. The Yuddham is over. That is when Bhishmacharya says, I still reminiscence that particular day, that moment, when Krishna came running towards me. What is this incident? See, Krishna's sister, Subhadra, was married to Arjuna. So Arjuna was his cousin and the son-in-law of the house. Krishna's son, born through Jambavati, called Shambha, was married to Duryodhana's daughter. So Duryodhana and Krishna were sambandhis. Did you know that? I will show that. So this, while the Yuddham was supposed to happen, Krishna was in a way duty bound to help both Pandavas and Dhartarashtras. So Shakuni says, Duryodhana, you go first and ask Krishna's help. Duryodhana goes and he sits, you know that incident, he goes and sits near, Krishna was having a power nap, carbo coma. So near his head, Duryodhana was seated. Then Arjuna comes and he sits near the feet. Then Krishna wakes up after that power nap. He says, Arjun, kapai Arjun action ki? Kapai? So Arjuna says, just now Krishna. By then, Duryodhana bursts in anger. He says, I came first. Krishna said, you may have come first, but you sat elsewhere. You should have come and sat in front. Anyways, what have you come for? They expressed their concern and request for Krishna to take part in the Yuddha. Krishna said, see, both of you are related to me. One is the son-in-law, the other's daughter is my daughter-in-law. I have to help both. But I have my entire army. I have not sent them to Ukraine. I have a huge army. On the other hand is me. You can choose one of them. Duryodhana was about to open his mouth. That is when Krishna said, when there are two people, the younger one should always be given the first option. Arjuna, you choose. Arjuna said, is there a doubt? I will only choose you, Krishna. Duryodhana was extremely happy. That entire battalion with that S-400s and Rafale and everything is coming on the other side. So he said, okay, let my dear brother take him. Fine, I will manage with this army. He went home and told, Mama, Shakuni, I brought the entire army. Shakuni said, where is Krishna? He has gone to Pandava side. Fool. You have left that man there. He will do anything to win this war. You go tell him that you forgot to ask that appendix portion of the book. See, that additional sheet you will take in main exams, right? Ma'am, one additional sheet you will ask. And there will be one Brihaspati will be writing additional sheet. So, here appendix portion, he said, Krishna, I forgot to ask. No, I don't know, somehow dementia has caught upon me. Somehow I forgot to ask. You shouldn't be using a weapon in the Sita. Arjuna was there. He was so worried. Who can even ask for such a boon? Krishna said, okay, Duryodhana, I won't use any weapon. Trust me, I won't lift any weapon. Go. Now Arjuna said, Krishna, are you there as a well-wisher for us, or you are finding and digging a grave for us? When you are coming to the Yuddha Sthalam, how can you not use a Ayudham? I am a surgeon, I go into the surgery table, I won't use any instruments, I'll keep looking at the patient. How can you not use? And if you're not going to lift a weapon, use a weapon, of what use will you serve on the battlefield? You cannot come to the battlefield. You cannot come there. So what to do? That is when Krishna said, is your driver available? Yes, he is available. Send him, ask him to take CL, casual leave. I don't know what you call it here. And leave casually with a leave. But so take that leave. Then who will ride my chariot? I will do that. Because a Sarathi doesn't have to use a weapon, but I can be at your proximity and I can keep guiding you. So Krishna vowed, pledged not to lift a single weapon. On the other hand, on the first day of the Yuddham, the eve of that day, which is the day 0 evening, press conference was called. All channels came. Bhishmacharya, the Mahabharata Dumbledore, he gives a press conference. He says, all you press people, including Arnav, listen. Asking Arnav to listen is a big deal. He said, Arnav, listen. I promise that I will make Krishna lift the weapon. This was his press statement. So next day newspaper came, left side Krishna. Krishna says, I won't use any weapon. Other side article, Bhishma says, I will make Krishna lift the weapon. Who will win? They can equal. So on the first day, you know what happened? Arjuna said, people standing in front of me, Krishna, are my brothers. O positive. Same blood. Krishna said, they were your brothers till yesterday as well. That time you gave Veera Vachanam that I'll go and fight. Suddenly, where did this Jnanam come that he's your brother now? Krishna not able to decide whether to fight them or not. Keep the Ratham in the Madhyama Bhagam. Ratham Sthapaya Achyuta. Should I fight them or not? Krishna should have answered the question. Krishna is a bigger Upanyasaka. He started giving him lectures of Karma Yogam, Jnana Yogam, Bhakti Yogam. Arjuna forgot what question he asked. Finally, he said, what should I do? Fight or not? You fight. That you could have told at the start. Why have you confused me and confused every aspirant? Because in Dallas, all children in Kali Yuga will do Avataram of Bhagavad Gita. So I am giving Bhagavad Gita now. So, here, are there Sishyas of Dattapitham Swami here? Bring more people. Tell them he's not a bad speaker. So, here, Krishna tells, fight. And Arjuna starts fighting. But Arjuna was not very serious about winning the battle at all. He used to hit one arrow, then Bhishma used to catch. Arjuna, take it back. Krishna thought, see, leaving all my administrative work in Dwaraka, I thought I'll finish the Suddham. This grandson and grandfather are taking their own sweet time to fight. So Krishna thought the only way to bring an end to this battle is to kill Bhishma first. That is when Krishna jumps from his chariot. Yudhi Turaga Jo Vidhumra Vishwak Kachalunita Shramavaria Lankrita Asye Mama Nishita Sharair Vibhityamanatvachi Vilasat Kavachestu Krishna Atma. When Krishna jumped from the pedestal where he was seated as a charioteer, his beautiful hair dresses, they also jumped. See, if they describe Krishna, all our acharyas will get into a competition describing his greatness. Bhattadri says, Neelabham Kunchitagram Ganamamalatam Sangyatam Charubhangya Ratnot Tamsabhiramam Valayita Mudayaschandrakaihi Pinchajalaihi Mandarasrannivitam Ghana Prithukabariparam Alokayeham Snigdha Shvetodva Pundram Apicha Sulalitam Palabalendu Vitim. How his hair is. It will be curly in nature, it will be resplendent, shining, dark, effervescent. They will give all possible adjectives. Bhattadri says how Krishna's teeth are. If Krishna smiles, Nee Nadandal Nadayade, Nee Slital, Simpal, Sinanade Potu, Sigaratil. Similarly, how Krishna's teeth are Unnila Dantapanti Spuratarunatharachaya Bimbadarantaha. It seems his teeth are so well arranged. Bhattadri now wonders if a sculptor has made those teeth, because naturally if teeth grow, milk teeth will be good. Then the permanent teeth, they will grow in one direction. Vaktra Padma says you will have canine teeth. All this. Then we have to give loads of money to our dentist to put them all back in track. How is Krishna's teeth? Unnila Dantapankti Suradtarunattarachaya Bimbadarantaha. If you keep a mirror in front of his teeth, 2 rows of teeth, the mirror will keep looking at him. It won't even mirror back. It is so beautiful, he sees. 2 men went to a party. They were holding their plates. It was a buffet system. Plate is 1 kg, food is half kg. Govinda. This is one of the best ways to dissuade people from eating. Buffet system, you won't go back and eat. So you can save on money. Even Pattappa has started believing in them. Now, when 2 men were having food in a party, as these 2 men were having, an lady sitting opposite them, she smiled at one of them. The other friend looked. He's so great, she's smiling. He's not that good looking, she's still smiling. This man looked back at the lady, he too smiled. She smiled back. Then she walked up to him. She said, "Can we meet?" This man was on cloud 9. If you're in Microsoft, on 22. So happy. Oh, she's called me. Where should I meet you? At my dentist clinic. Because your teeth needs correction. Nobody has such beautiful teeth. So when Krishna jumped, Krishna jumped from his chariot. His hair locks, tresses also jumped alongside him. With that anger that you have been delaying the war and I shall bring an end to it. He saw the wheel of a chariot go round and round on the battlefield. He took that wheel and started using that as a discus and started running towards Bhishma. Bhishma dropped his bow and quiver of arrows and he said, "It is for this moment that I was waiting so that I can be killed by you." Tomorrow, at least in Bhagavatam, they'll say Bhishma was killed by Krishna. So he says, Swanigamamapahaya mat pratignya mritamadhikattumava pluto rathastaha. Now Bhishma is reminiscing that day. To Arjuna, he says, how beautifully Krishna jumped from his chariot. Even his uttariyam, that upper cloth, it jumps so beautifully. Have you seen? Finally, the hero will go, that heroine will put that dupatta, it will come flying. So he says, Haririva hantumibham gatottariyaha, gata uttariyaha. Uttariyam is the upper cloth, it will fly. That is when Arjuna comes and says, Krishna, for my sake, you should not break your vow. I will fight Bhishma, pacifies Krishna and comes back. Now, when Krishna came running towards Bhishma in that anger, lifted the chakram and was about to annihilate Bhishma, Bhishma renders a set of shlokas. It is called Bhishma Stuti. That is a part of the second skandam. So, second skandam is over. Okay, we have covered another 1000 shlokas now. Because at this rate, only if I go, then I'll be able to complete 18,000 shlokas. We have 12 skandams, 18,000 shlokas, huge portions left. After the 7th day, Dwarakanath Swami has told me clearly, you have to empty the space, go, leave this country. So, I have to be very careful about completing my portions. That said, here we have the next charitram that comes. Kashyapa Prajapati, he is very important in Sanatana Dharma. Any charitram will begin with Kashyapa Prajapati. Kashyapa, Kashyapo Bhavati, greatest of Kashyapa. Kashyapa Vihara is Kashmira. That is, Kashyapa stayed in that region. That is why everything related to Kashmir will be related to Kashyapa. Says Kalhana in Rajatarangini. Kashyapa adopted many children. Through Kadru, he adopted many snakes. So can you adopt snakes? When you can adopt dogs, cats, cows, why can't we adopt snakes? So he adopted snakes. So Kadru had snakes as a children, adopted children. Now, the other wife, Vinata, adopted birds. That is why Aruna, Garuda became those children. That is why if you see that place where the Ananta is the eldest of the snakes. He was a Naga. That is why that place in Kashmir is called Anantnag. The other snake is Takshaka. Takshaka Shila is Takshila. Another snake called Karkotaka. That is why the 7th, 8th century dynasty, Lalita Aditya Mukta Pida and all of that was called Karkota dynasty. So, everything around that region is very important to Kashyapa. Kashyapa had wives. One of them was called Diti. Again, one question they will ask, why did he marry so many women? It is against women empowerment. Correct. He shouldn't have married so many times, but he didn't consult. He married. We have to read what the Puranam says. All these questions I get. Why did he marry? No. Yeshamam tvatkrite vidvan kamamattasharasanah dunoti dinam vikramya rambhamiva matangajaha. He had a wife called Diti. This Diti Devi, while Kashyapa was performing his evening Sandhya Vandanam, she went and pulled his dhoti. She said, "You're always into religious activities. We have to be like a husband and wife. I want children." It is very. Dunoti Dinam Vikramya Rambhamiva Matangajaha. Like how an elephant has gone into a banana plantation and destroys it, so is Kamadeva destroying me. That is when Kashyapa said, this is not the right time for us to get together, because in the evening time, Shiva starts from Kailasham and goes to Smashana Bhumi. That is called as Rudra Muhurtam. In Rudra Muhurtam, it is said you have to meditate and not do such activities. She said, what will be the effect of it? Children will be irresponsible, they will be antisocial. She said, I want children, I don't mind having such useless children. Navayam prabhavastam tvamanukartum griheshwari apyayushava katsyena yechanye gunagrinnavaha. Let's wait for something. She said, I can't. Athapi kamanetam te prajatyai karavanyalam yathamam nati vochanti muhurtam pratipalaya yesha ghoratama vela ghoranam ghora darshana charanti yasyam bhutani bhuteshanucharaniha. That is when later when she gets pregnant, she saw that pregnancy split over 2-3 nights. Then she realizes, I should have waited. Then he says, it's too late. Your children will be useless. Then she says, I have sought remorse. Please give me one emancipation. Prayaschittam. Kashyapa says, Savai Mahabhagavato Mahatma Mahanubhavo Mahata Mahishtaha Pravriddha Bhaktya Kyanubhavita Shaye Niveshya Vaikunthamimam Vihasyati. See, your children will be useless, but you will have a grandson who will be a great devotee. When will that grandson come? Diti asked. At about 7:45 on day 3. Wednesday, 7:45. So as soon as she got pregnant and children were born, eventually she delivered twins. She had Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. Now, in Sanatana Dharma, all our quintessential knowledge that we have bequeathed has come to us in the form of poetry. Ramayanam, Bhagavatam, Mahabharatam, Vishnu Puranam, name it, it is all poetry. Poetry has certain rules of reading, appreciating, internalizing, and deciphering. You cannot interpret poetry exactly as is. Remember this. In poetry, there'll be figures of speech deployed, there'll be similes, metaphors, onomatopoeia, there'll be comparisons, there'll be exaggerations, atishayokti. So you shouldn't take a word as is. How did that lady come into that hall? She walked with the gate of the span. As she walked, the flags that were strung on both sides fluttered high in the sky. The butterflies that went around, hovered around the beautiful stamens and the calyx and the corolla. There was fragrance all around. As she walked, the dust that emanated with her every step filled the air. After this description, if you look, it will be a normal lady body. அன்னவடிவாழசையும் அன்ன நடையாள் உயரும் அன்னவரசேரி வருவாள் அத்தனையன் அத்தனையன் உத்தியன அத்தியன உத்தி புரியாள். Says Vedanta Deshika, how Saraswati came. So poetry is full of exaggeration. But if you want to just know the crux of what has happened, that lady entered the hall. That is the crux. That she walked with the gait of a swan, then that dust emanated, it filled the air, butterflies hovered around, nothing would have happened. So in poetry, it is very important to understand what is a story like. If you read translations, you will be lost. I'll tell you why. Because Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, what the book will say is, Diti said, "O Lord, the lotus-eyed Kashyapa, I have delivered 2 sons. Of them, one is the yellow and the gold-eyed Hiranyaksha and the gold-bodied Hiranyakashipu. You will buy this book very happily and give it to your son or daughter." Now, my dear friends who are ABC beings, they will ask, gold body? Do you mean to say gold body is gold? Aurum AU from Mendeleev's table? Then we won't have an answer, because while many parents grew up, they wouldn't have questioned that very statement. Yeah, it is gold body. Warm. Are you serious? Is the body gold? Don't ask such questions. I didn't ask. Then the child loses interest. Correct? Am I right? So, poetry has a way of deciphering. Hiranya in Sanskrit is gold. Correct. What does gold stand for? A color. See, when a large section of the Western world refers, they call it the yellow metal. So, there is a yellowness, Pitatvam attached to the metal, aurum. So when we discuss our skin colors, which technically, legally is wrong, I'm just telling on a very general basis, it could be dark, it could be white, it could be brown. There is a race called yellow. Correct? From China Desham, we refer to them as people who have yellow color. Now, sir, was China there then during Mahabharata? Yes. Please go and check. In Mahabharatam, in Bhishma Parva, who were the armies who fought in the side of Duryodhana? There is a statement. China. From China, the army came and helped Duryodhana. There is a mention in Mahabharata. In Kumara Sambhavam, in the 2nd century, Kalidasa says how the flag was. It had the texture of the cloth of China silk. Chinam Chukaihi. So it talks about China silk, China army, China silk. So there is a yellow color. So children who were born to Diti Devi, their skin must have been yellowish. So that yellow is synonymous with gold, Hiranya. So the body with the yellow color is Hiranyakashipu, not exactly gold. Doesn't mean if you cut open his body, you will get gold. That's why I said interpreting poetry is an art. For example, Shurpanakha says Srimad Ramayanam. What does Shurpanakha? See, she was born to one of the wives of Vishravas called Raka. They had this daughter. We don't know what is her original name because nobody would have given the name Shurpanakha at the start. What does Shurpanakha mean? Shurpa means the winnowing fan. See, you have the process of pounding grains, separating the husk from the grain, and then letting them, you use a certain fan-like object and then allow the husk to get separated from the grain. That winnowing process. That fan is called as shurpam in Sanskrit. So that fan, because towards your part, it's short. Towards the end, it is broad. So one whose nails wouldn't go straight and would grow sidewards is called as Shurpanakha. So it was a genetic problem in her. Why? Because I had a friend while I used to live in Bombay. His nails were never growing straight. They used to grow sidewards. once in every 3 months, he used to go get the nail operated. So it's a genetic problem. The nail will grow in the sides. So since she was a woman whose nakam used to grow like a shurpa in the sides, she was called Shurpa Naka. That similarly, Hiranyakashipu, whose skin is yellowish. One whose eyes, the white portion of the eyes were yellowish, was Hiranyaksha. So these children were born. Let's keep them aside. How was he given the name Hiranyakashipu? There's an interesting incident in Nrsimha Purana. Kashyapa was performing an Ashwamedha Yagam. In a Yagam, you have 5 seats. You have Udgata, Hotru, Adhvaryu, and so on. There is one seat called Brahma. This Brahma is not the Chaturmukha Brahma. The supervisor of a Yagam is called Brahma. So the role of a supervisor in a Yagam is to pinpoint the mistakes in that Yagam, and if the mistakes are pinpointed, you have to do prayashchitta. So technically, the most ignorant person would be made Brahma in a Yagam, because if the person knows everything, then he'll find mistakes. So Brahma will be seated. There is a 5th seat in Ashwamedha. The 5th seat is gilded in gold. That seat is called Hiranyakashipu, the seat. Since as little children of Diti and Kashyapa, these boys crawled, and the elder of the two went and sat on Hiranyakashipu, the Rishi said, "Oh, Hiranyakashipu, he has sat on the seat which is called Hiranyakashipu, so he became Hiranyakashipu." Is that possible, sir? Possible. See, for example, a word can be used as a noun, as an adjective, and various types of nouns. For example, wood. It is a common noun, because if someone asks how is the cot made out of wood, then it's a common noun. Then I ask specifically which wood. Then I say neem wood. Then it becomes a proper noun. It can become a collective noun as well. Don't think I'm taking an English class here. Collective noun. For example, where did the cow disappear? It has run into the woods. We say woods is determining the forest area. Then it can also become a person's name. Many people will be called Mr. Wood. You must have heard of this, Mr. Wood. And it can be used as an adjective. If a person doesn't decipher and understand what we say, Mara Mandai. We say, right? That time it becomes an adjective. So one word can be used in different formats. One. Second rule. Any Astikas from Bengaluru here? Bengaluru. So at one point in time when Bengaluru had trees, so vegetables used to be sold in the morning. So before leaving for school, I used to see the vegetable vendors come. Alugade, they'll sell. He has gone past my house. My grandmother wants alugade. How would she call him? Alugade. He may have a different name, but we refer to him by the object which he sells. So Alugade is not his name, but if he sells Alugade, his name is referred to as Alugade. This boy went and sat on the seat called Hiranyakashipu, so he became Hiranyakashipu. Now, let's keep Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu in a side. There is another mention here. Sanat Kumaras. They were the sons of Brahma who had vowed to become celibates. Manobhyanaihi Shrayasakananajair Anekavapi Manimandiraischa Anopamam Tam Bhavato Niketam Munishvaraha Praputatita Kakshyaha. So the sons of Brahma, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara, they all were celibates. They said, we won't want family, we don't want to marry. We are happy this way. So Brahma said, I can't coax children. So those 4 people were given visa to many places. Wherever they want, they can go. 73 countries, they don't have to apply for visa. They'll get visa on arrival. Rest of the countries, they'll create wars. So, here these four went to Vaikuntha. Now again, this point is very important. What are the 2 points are important? One point is what I tell now, you should remember. Second point is you have to bring a note and a pen. Don't think I'm commanding you. It's a request. Remember, if our acharyas, our purvacharyas had been as lethargic as me, we wouldn't have got even a single grantham today. They used to remember Shruti and Smriti. Listen and remember. That becomes tough for us. See, manuscripts today we talk about one book. Now we have gone to plagiarize the book, create wrong copies of the book. But imagine creating photocopies of manuscripts 1,000 years back was not just possible. You will have limited stationery and you have to inscribe on them. You have limited stationery. That is why if you look into the manuscripts, you have to use a magnifying glass. It will be so minuscule. You can't even press the backspace if you have made a mistake. You have to be perfect. You have to write in a minuscule fashion. Break that part, go to the next page, bore a hole in them, tie it with a tag, and there will be, I'm just giving you an example, one copy of Matsya Puranam, which would have come for thousands of years in the south of India. That one copy of the manuscript will reach a village in Andhra. One person who has read that manuscript will come and tell one scholar in Kanchipuram, you know what I read? Matsya Puranam. Matsya Puranam you read, can you tell me those shlokas? That person will repeat all the 6,000 shlokas. Because in one time you have to remember, Ekasantagraha. Can we ever imagine such a scenario? We don't remember, probably of less ability, or we are very lethargic. Why should I remember? You can download, no, why should we? So this ability to read, grasp, internalize, remember is gone. Say there will be only one manuscript, then it will go to the other side. That is why you will have variations. Ramayanam itself, there are 3 recensions of this book. North, east, northwest and south. So Dakshina Patham will have 2 more shlokas. Northwest will not have that Patham. Because when they keep reading and passing it on, one person would have forgotten to mention one shloka. You're able to understand that. See, for example, let's take Sahasranama. Sadasaksharam. Have you heard of this? Correct? Yes, no. So Sadasaksharam, correct? But Parashara Bhatta, Ramanuja Satsishya does not record it as Sadasaksharam. He says Sadaksharam, Asaksharam. There is another place. Sarvadarshi Vimuktatma, correct? Any other variations? Sarvadarshi Vimuktatma. Chapandi. Where other version idea? There is another version. Parashara Bhatta states, he comments, he doesn't say Vimuktatma is the right name. He says Nivrittatma. Sarvadarshi Nivrittatma. Why these variations come? Because there will be one manuscript, it will go village after village, what that person reads. So gone are those days. Now we are living in a different era, 2023. Even then, make it a habit to take down notes. Whatever you feel is relevant, whatever you feel is eye-catchy, whatever you feel is worth writing down, right? Take a photo of it, send it on WhatsApp to your children. That is how you should be, a learning process. This is not, see, there is a difference between sitting for a kacheri. Now, kacheri has become like that because earlier kacheri was full of bhakti. Now, we have great Vidwans and Vidushis who state, why should we have bhakti in kacheri? I am singing for Kamboji Ragam. I am singing for Shankara. I will sing on the beach. I will sing everywhere where I want. So slowly they have released the art from bhakti. You don't have to take notes. I'm just listening to Kalyani. Who is that Kalyani, that Raga? Who has written that Pasuram? You don't have to worry. It is all, you don't have to believe in it. You have to just believe in the notes of Sarigama. Some theory has come. The only place where little belief in the system is in the Upanyas. So make it a point to write it down. Remember, if you believe that you can remember now you go home, you manage to remember 4 points. What 4 points you can remember? Share it with your children. Why? Because Sanatana Dharma, remember, now we may all be smiling. Sanatana Dharma is one civilization that neither believes in luring people through money. You come, I'll give you 200 rupees and one bag of rice. We don't have that money to give. Neither do we have the audacity to threaten the other person. If you don't come, that we don't do. Neither through money nor through fear. The only way to retain bhaktas is through knowledge. And that knowledge can happen only when every person who listens makes it a collective responsibility that we have to preserve Sanatana. It is not some Peethadipati who will come and protect. Every person of Sanatana Dharma has to protect. So you have to take the initiative to remember, write it down. Please don't take this as an advice, this is a request. So Sanatana Dharma, if it has to remain safe, every person should participate in this movement. You remember certain points, share it with your children. They will surely appreciate the efforts that you are taking to reach out to them. That is how parents should be. We shared some Aishwarya talks to Vichya Vikram in that press meet. That video parents share. Instead, you can share Virat Kohli after the shot looks at Anushka. Look, slow motion shot. Virat Kohli hit well, Anushka will be happy, but this him hitting the ball and that knowledge is not going to leave motion. In 2017, Virat Kohli ever 216. Let him hit 216 runs. Is that benefiting you? Your Atma Shreyas, is that important to you? Is that giving you bliss? So what happens is we remember all irrelevant things. That is why relevant things we are not able to remember. Right? If it we remember what? So we should take efforts to remember. There is no people will say, sir, is there something good for memory? Nothing. Take all the trash and throw. Learn first the habit of unlearning. That is why Swami Chinmayananda was once asked, sir, are you coming to convert? He said, I have come to convert Hindus as Hindus. See, we don't have to bring other people. Keeping Hindus as Hindus itself is a big task. Where should we go for other things? So, it is in our hands. Take down. Have the habit of writing. When you write, you feel so sincere that you're listening. If you have a stylus, take that down in a pen. Now, Sanat Kumaras come. There are two Vaikunthams, I say. Vaikuntham 1.0 and Vaikuntham 2.0. Vaikuntham 1.0 in the Vedas is called Paramapadam, from which there is no return. Only if the Atma exits through the 101st Nadi called Sushumna, that place can be reached. There is another Vaikuntham called 2.0. It is called Karya Vaikuntham, where people like us, Brahma, Indra, they all can go talk to Vishnu, take care, they can have a few pleasantries and then come. That is called Karya Vaikuntham. Why I am telling you this is because we will see incidents where Sanat Kumaras get angry, Jaya Vijaya get angry, they curse each other, then people will ask, sir, in Vaikuntham also is there anger? That is why Shastra says, Karya Vaikuntham, you will have human emotions. So, as Sanat Kumaras tried to enter the western Dwaram of Vaikuntham, which was guarded by Jaya and Vijaya. That yeah is very important. I tell in every lecture of mine, don't make it Jaya, Vijaya, Jaya Jaya Mahavira, from Mahavira. That A should not be added, this extra sound. Ramesha, Baro, that A should not come here. It's Jaya Jaya Mahavira, Mahadhira Dhaureya, Janaki Kandasman, Jaya Jaya Rama Rama. Sound should come, Rama Rama. Rama means Sita will come. Because Akaranta Vachaka Shabdam. Right? Govinda. Govinda. You check in Sahasranamam, is it Govinda? It is Govinda. Mahavaraho Govinda Shushenaha Kanakangari. Govinda Shabdam. So Jaya and Vijaya, they were the Dwarapalakas. They said, stop, sir, we can't allow you inside, show your passport. That is when they said, we don't have passport, this and that. No, Sanat Kumaras got perturbed. They are generally very calm and composed, seasoned people. They got perturbed. They said, you're repeatedly asking for permission. This is coming out of sheer arrogance that you have, that you are the Dwarapalakas of Vaikuntha. So thereby I curse that you be born on earth. These Dwarapalakas, they start shedding tears. What's a simple thing we did? We are just asking, show your license. Pata hai ki mera baap kaun hai? You are telling all these dialogues. Is it Delhi traffic light? Why are you getting angry? So that is why, learnings from the past is a big benefit for the future. Since Sanat Kumaras and the Dwarapalakas had this altercation, later as a lesson learned from the past, Andal, the mystic poetess in the Tamil language in the south of India, when she has to approach Krishna's house, she gives the utmost respect to the Dwarapalakas. She says, I won't misbehave with them, because ultimately they have to open the door for me. நாயகனாய் நின்ற நந்த கோபனுடைய கோயில் காப்பானே மணிக்கதவம் தாழ்த்திரவாய். She respectfully says, please open the door. So here, while the Dwarapalakas are cursed, the Lord slowly comes out of his serpent couch. Like our police, after the incident was over, he will come. Tadetadajnaya bhavana vaptaha sahiva lakshmiya bahirambujaksha. He holds his arms, one on Lakshmi and the other on Garuda, and comes slowly. What happened? He asked. Then these men say, they have cursed us to be born on earth. That is when the Lord says, I will find a way out. Instead of having 7 janmas of birth, you can be born for 3 janmas, but you can keep abusing me. It is called Samrambha Yogam, reaching the Lord through abuses. Many people in Tamil Nadu will reach. So, you can keep abusing and reach. It's called Samrambha Yogam. So, it is believed that they were born as Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Shishupala and Dantavakra. That said, these Jaya and Vijaya were born to Diti Devi. We have connected them. Now comes a problem. Varaha Avataram, everybody has listened. Whatever we didn't know about Varaha, Rishabh Shetty taught us. Varaharubam, he taught us. Now, the problem here with Varaha Avataram is this. I will begin. It is said, what did Hiranyaksha do? He took Mother Earth and kept her in the oceanic waters. Correct? You have heard of this? You have heard of. See, some of the answers I get from some of my young friends in the US is, I guess. Guess you know or don't know? I guess. Tayor Hiranyaksha Mahasurendra Ranaya Dhavanna Avapta Vairi Bhavat Priyam Kshmam Salile Nimajya Chachara Garvadi Vidangadavan. So it is said that Hiranyaksha kept Mother Earth in the oceanic waters. Big logical problem will come here. How can you keep Mother Earth in the oceanic waters when oceans rest on them? We have Pacific, Atlantic, Marine Ocean, we have Indian Ocean, South China Sea, where everybody is fighting. All this on Earth. No, sir, you have mistaken. There will be some great WhatsApp acharyas. See, the beauty about Sanatana Dharma is there are many places where beautifully Dharmam and science meet. Appreciate those places. Some places where they don't meet, leave them as is. We will force. Why do men wear Panchakacham? There will be one WhatsApp forward. If you put the first knot is for Agnya Chakra. Second knot is for Manipuraka chakra. There is no chakra. In those days, they wore like this. That's all. Now you would say there is a Earth's magnetic field below. See that. And if I say like this, no sir, you are not aware. There is one patent from Helsinki University that says if you put the dhoti below, then that magnetic force, oh my goodness, we are complicating our lives. Why are we wearing dhoti? Because my grandfather wore like this, I'm wearing. If you don't want to wear, don't wear. Simple, deal done. We should not waste our time in all these mundane things. Why the 9 yards is worn that way? This is the only way of wearing throughout India. Every woman should have worn that way. There are different styles. Correct? So the same gunam, want a brahmachari need, brahmachari cannot wear panchakacha. What do we do then? So here, let's imagine we say, see, the first way to handle this question. How did Hiranyaksha keep Mother Earth in the oceanic waters? Easiest ways, keep quiet and read what is there in Bhagavatam. Somehow, I don't believe in that method. If we are not allowed to ask questions, then why should I keep telling that Sanatana Dharma allows to ask questions? So we'll ask questions. How to keep Mother Earth in the oceanic waters? One person said, sir, you take Earth. You take Earth. Separate waters from it, from all the 5 lakes, that's superior, you take water, put it in one container. So now the earth doesn't have water. Now you put that earth into that waters. That is possible. I said, how can you take the earth is going at 23.5-degree axis, it is tilted. So somebody should have the power to take earth and keep it here. No, Hiranyaksha had that power. Let us believe Hiranyaksha had that power. But after Hiranyaksha's death, Hiranyakashipu goes and avenges that death. If the entire earth is kept into the waters, then even Hiranyakashipu should have died. Correct? No, sir. He took Hiranyakashipu and kept it in Mars. Some explanation, random explanation they'll give. Second. Third, they'll say, no. There is a different ocean. This is not the H2O ocean. It's a different ocean. It was kept there. Where is that ocean? It is there. In Treta, in Krita Yugam, it was there. Now it has vanished. This is third explanation which doesn't attach to logic. I will give you an explanation which I feel is to some extent convincing to me. It may not convince you. If you are not convinced, you find an answer. Let's say there are 2 ways of constructing a house. In Bharatadesham, I don't know here. One is to stay in an apartment or live in an independent house. 2 options. To construct an independent house, what do? We buy that piece of land first. 30 feet by 40 feet plot. 60 feet by 40 feet plot. Then we construct that house. Prior to constructing and after buying the plot, what do? Bhumi puja, correct? We all do Bhumi puja. Are we doing puja to the entire Bhumi or that 60 by 40 plot? 60 by 40 plot, we are doing puja, but we are not calling it 60 by 40 feet puja. We are calling it Bhumi puja because even a small piece of land that we possess is equivalent to the entire Bhumi. Point number 1. Point number 2. See, there are many places because of the burgeoning population and the increasing population in the urban cities. In many Bharatiya cities, lakes have been converted into residential areas. Once lakes, now have become areas. So when rain waters pour, when there is incessant rains, that house itself gets drowned. So that time they say, Bhumi has drowned. Bhumi did not drown. That house alone drowned. So when you do Bhumi Puja, even for that small piece of land, you call it Bhumi Puja. Even when that small piece of land is drowned, you say the Bhumi has been drowned because a small piece of land is equivalent to the entire Bhumi. In Tamil, there is a saying, Oru spanai sorukku oru soru padam. So keep this aside. I'll give you another example. because only when we understand this will you get a logical explanation for Varaha Avataram. Else you keep telling Varaha, Hiranyaksha kept this in ocean, and your children will ask the same question. The other aspect is, while I used to be in class 9, my mother used to wake me up and she said, study. Study, Amma. You are not studying like the way you studied in class 7. She'll say, if I am studying in class 8, she'll say, class 7 you studied well. When I was in class 9, she'll repeat the same dialogue, saying class 8 you studied well. Now, not. Every class she'll say, last year you studied well, not this year. So then I realized this was my mother's indigenous way of motivating me. Which means that problems that we face today are not the problems of the current day alone. We talk about pollution and pollution. Pollution was there even in the past. It may have been occurring in a different degree. So most of our rivers, Brahmaputra, Indus, Ganga, Yamuna, Chenab, Ravi, Jhelum, Sutlej, these are all perennial rivers that rise from the Himalayas. Himalayas have glaciers. And any person who's against the society and Mother Nature will always pollute the glaciers. That is why we say glaciers melt, the rivers swell, there is global warming. So Hiranyaksha, who was the son of Kashyapa of Kashmira, must have disturbed Mother Nature at her glaciers. When glaciers melt, the river levels rise. When rivers swell, the land on either sides which is habited by people, those small areas start getting submerged. When even small habitats get submerged, we say Bhumi got submerged. That is why I gave you that example of Bhumi Puja and Bhumi got submerged. So Bhumi got submerged means one part because of some humans' bad effects got submerged. That is when Swayambhuva Manu, all these inhabitants who lost their lives and some of them who lost their houses, go and complain to their supervisor. The supervisor for that point in time was called Swayambhuva. Swayambhuva Manu goes to the Pamir mountains and tells Brahma, see sir, the creation is gone. A lot of the Bhumi has been submerged. While Brahma was thinking about how to bring a solution, a small boar emerged from his nose and fell on earth. That boar had tusks like that of two crescent moons. Kolavaraha munnai nillam kottidangunda yandai, tells Alvar. So this boar goes and lifts that particular submerged Bhumi part alone. Can we lift like that? See, when I go to one of my relatives' house in Habibullah Road in Chennai, Habibullah, Bazullah and Usman, Trimathacharyas there. So when I go to Habibullah, every time I go, I see the vicinity. Once I saw that the house bordering my relative's house had risen by 6 feet. I asked, sir, how did the house grow? If Trivikrama grows, it's okay. House grows. They said the waters enter the house during rainfall. So using levers and pulleys, we have lifted the entire house. So one small piece of land can be lifted. So Varaha uses his tusk and many Varahas joined and lifted that portion of earth. Sir, one small portion only was lifted. But I said even a small portion is called Bhumi. So this Varaha Avataram need not be taken, waters were taken, then it was put into the ocean. A small part was affected, wild boar came and protected. There are two ways of depicting wild boar in our Shastra. One, as a boar itself. If you Google Varaha Khajuraho, Madhya Pradesh, you will see a huge boar. That is Varaha. Agamam says, give that a divine form. That is why we give the body of Vishnu and the head of Varaha. Original Varaha is proper boar. So that Varaha, Purvam Varaha Vapusha Purushottamena, when the Lord lifted that small submerged portion of land, the waters on that land moved this way and that way. That movement caused waves. Those waves that lashed came up with a noise. So when Varaha lifted Bhumi, it looked as if he was seeking union with Bhuma Devi, and the sound that came from the waves were like the Mridanga Nadam for their union. Says Vedanta Deshika, Purvam Varaha Vapusha, Purushottamena, Pritena Bhogi Sadane, Samudikshitayaha, Patalata Pralayavari Udvaha Mangala Vidhe, Uchita Mridangaha, he says. So now Varaha lifts Bhumi Devi. That is when our dear Hiranyaksha, after having brought destruction to those small habitats, now sees that entire Bhumi come up. Yes, who did this? That is when Narada says, Samaya Vir Harati Vishnu Bhagavadiyam Vasuvati Prabho Kashtam Kashtam Kimida. So he says, Prabho Kashtam Kashtam. Narada says, very sad to note, Hiranyaksha, you have troubled this part of Bhumi. All your hard efforts have gone in vain. Somebody has protected earth. Who is that? Who is that? That is when Narada Maharishi showed. See, there is one wild boar running, right? That has done that. So that is why Acharya said, even for Hiranyaksha to find where the Lord was, he needed an Acharya. Munina Darshita Pataha. The Acharya shows Narada, here. That wild boar is taking. So Hiranyaksha goes and fights with that wild boar, and the wild boar, using its tusks, kills. It's an incident of a wild animal killing an antisocial element in the forest. This is Varaha Avataram. So our understanding of Varaha Avataram is a person who works against nature will be killed. So rather than telling that the earth was submerged in the waters, ocean, somewhere it was kept, then Varaha came, there was moss over it, all this. That is why understanding Puranas itself is an arduous task. So Bhattadri and Shuka Brahman bring the essence of it. But Shuka Brahman says, hey Parikshit, my dear friend, I have to tell you the charitram of Dhruva, Prithu, Varaha Charma Shlokam, Daksha Yagyam, Jadabharata Charitram, and Ajamilopakyanam tomorrow. So come at 6:15 p.m. You have to come, Parikshit. So I will tell you at 6:15 tomorrow all these charitrams on day 2. And day 3 will be Tripura Samharam, Nisimhavataram, and parts of Gajendra Moksha. And day 4 will be remaining half of Gajendra Moksham, Ambarisha Charitram, Matsyavataram, Kurmavataram, Vamanavataram, and Sri Krishna Jananam. And day 5 onwards, only Krishna. So, one thing is, first, I generally make note of all people's faces. So, if you don't come, you'll get that ticket in your house. So, come. 1. Second thing, you may say 2 hours, 15 minutes, and how to sit. You will get used to it. Because I will not reduce my duration. You will get used to it. Listen, trust me. I have always enjoyed my life when I had as a listener than as a speaker. Because as a speaker, I'm duty bound to cover these many portions. I have attention. Listener can always choose to peacefully listen. So a Shrota is greater than the Bhakta. So what you have to do is tomorrow you have to call your friends and say, and bring them, tell them it's a free event. I know it is happening in the weekday. Make it strong with your presence. So bring them. We just have 6 more days to go. Okay, IPL we watch for so many days. This is only 7 days. What does IPL give? I don't know what it gives, but it will give moksha. But not after the 7th day itself. When the Jivatma exits that body, it is said you will get moksha. So you may get moksha by Acharya's grace. Now, please come from tomorrow. One more important announcement, which is very close to my heart. See, every city I go in the US, every time I come, what has increased? Whether the Astikas have increased or not, number of temples would have increased. Right? There are temples everywhere. for name, and there are temples for specific deities, and there are temples with all deities. So some are exclusive, some are like Costco. But my point with the temples, wherever I go, I tell, whether people think wrong of me or not, to construct a temple is easy. But to have a 30-year plan, whether you have the priests in supply, whether you have cooks, isn't that a pertinent, relevant question? When we go to a temple, we just can't stay like that. We need a priest there to attend to the activities of the temple as per Agama, whatever Agama they follow. So, keeping away all the human ego and arrogance away, we should always aspire for lesser number of temples, and wherever it is, even see if we start Kovililla Urile Kudi Irukavendam. Somebody said, sir, it is said in every city there should be a temple. In every city there is one temple, Appayarsi. She didn't say street to street temple. But we have temples. But something that has impressed me, truly impressed me. I'm telling this on video, they can post it anywhere. In Dallas, through Vedanta Sabha, they want to construct a Samskara Bhavan. To perform the Samskaras, there is no temple there. Mula Murti, Utsava Murti, Gajavahanam, Seshavahanam, Pedda Seshavahanam, Chinna Seshavahanam, umbrella, all this is not there. So I asked, which is the biggest temple in this city? When I went there, sir, that temple. I asked why. Because their canteen sells 3,000 dosas. So from Bubukshu, we are becoming Mumukshu. But here, Samskara Bhavanam is coming for doing Shubha and Apara Samskaras by Sri Vedanta Sabha. It's a very good aspiration that they have. And they, of course, see public support. So this series of 7 days lectures is meant as a fundraiser for that particular Samskara Bhavanam, where you can, there are many apartments where you can't invoke fire because of fire safety norms. So you can come and perform here, be it Simantonnayanam, Pumsavanam, Jatakarma, Namakarma, Upanayanam. Recently, while I was in Bay Area, I had the opportunity to be a chief guest for a Samashti Upanayanam. 11 children had Upanayanam there. So, Upanayanam, suppose there are occasions because of family problems where you can't go to Bharata Desham, you need a place where Upanayanam can be performed, where fire god can be invoked. If there is Antyeshti after the death of somebody who's very near and dear to us, you have to perform the 9th day, 10th day, 11th day, 12th day ritual, you need a place. So these are all practical problems to continue the samskaras, because if there is no place, some people will say, let me give away the samskaras itself, give up on the samskaras. Rather, there is an initiative to come with Samskara Bhavanam, which is worth appreciating. So please do support this beautiful initiative. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhyah Shubham Astu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kayena Vacha Manasendriyaiva Buddhyatmana Va Prakriti Swabhavat Karomi Ityat Sakalam Parasmi Srimad Narayanayeti Samarpayami Kalyana Rupaya Kalau Jananam Kalyana Dhatre Karuna Sudhapte Kambari Divyayudha Satkaraya Vatalayadhisha Namo Namaste Narayana 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 Namaskaram. Thank you.